recording. Thank you, Leslie. This is actually a system of a way of being, a way of practicing a way of being that actually leads to the end of suffering. I was really interested in this because I had a lot of conditions lined up for myself. I'm smart enough, I'm got enough money enough. Even when I didn't, it was enough. And yet I noticed that there was suffering. I was quite confused by this because I had the boxes pretty well checked off, or so I thought. And as it related to the external world, maybe, right, relative to the world at large, probably not so bad. And yet the suffering continued. And I thought, what the heck, right? Here I have people who love me, people I love, enough to eat, a place to live. And yet this pervading suffering, sometimes just a growl beneath, sometimes an actual collapse on the floor kind of suffering, or so I thought. What could be, what am I doing wrong? And I was practicing. And then these words, and with these words, I began to have a much deeper understanding, both of my practice at that time, which had already been many years, and the way to the end of suffering. And I began to see very clearly that I was 100% the agent of two things, both my suffering and the path to its end. This was remarkable. Like in my own hands, in my own heart, with my own mind, was the path to suffering, that there was nothing I was going to be able to count on in the way of external conditions, in the way of how things should be or look, or who I was loved by, or who I loved, that was going to be that path to true happiness, true, unconditioned happiness and freedom. Wow, a big step in the right direction, big step. 10 years, probably, after I began practicing. 10 years, not 10 weeks, not 10 minutes. Yeah, slower than the average bear. And so I'd like to read those words. And then I want to read some words. We'll read them together by Jeff Foster. And then we'll practice. Can we see where we're holding, where we're clinging? We're going to use the bell a little bit for this practice, where we continue the grip, the clinging, the wanting, the not wanting, and how once recognized, this is the beginning of the path to nibbana, the path to total freedom and happiness, because we can then decide, I love this part, to either keep hanging on or to actually let go. I decided to call this particular teaching the exquisite risk of being human, because we are going to cling, we are going to grasp, we are going to try to hold life, hold becoming, hold conditions. This is not our problem. The problem is not only in the clinging, the problem is in the ignorance, in the not seeing clearly that it is in fact the clinging itself, not the conditions changing, that actually is the cause of our suffering, this wanting and not wanting mind. So let's read the lines of the Buddha here. Then we'll go up and read together a little bit of Jeff Foster. And then let's see if we can practice some of what we're being offered here. I'm going to just check for a second and make sure that I have. Yes, Renee, we're going to go back and read that. Thank you. Thank you so much. We're going to talk about that today because we were able, yay Sangha, yay community, yay committed others. We were able to provide healthy meals for a whole bunch of people. So exciting, including Jim's team and Renee's. Yes, thank you. Big deal. It's a big deal. By asking, just by asking. We weren't sure what we were going to be able to offer. And we not only offered what we had committed, we exceeded what we committed. So thank you all, truly, for showing up like that. We'll talk about that a little more later. That's the opposite of clinging. That's the definition of liberation. right there. So here's the words of the Buddha. Whatever feelings arise, whether pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral, that's a little bit of a trick right there, isn't it? With every experience, by the way, we're having one of those, pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. Every single mind moment comes with a corresponding perception, pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. Abide, contemplating impermanence in those feelings. Abide, not just recognize them, but contemplating. This is the practice. Impermanence. This does not last. This is not me. This is not permanent. Next moment arising. It's not to ignore them. It's not to try to fly over them. That won't work either. We recognize the feeling as a feeling. We recognize the feeling as pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. And then we recognize, oh, it is the grasping, clinging, and holding of this that's actually the cause of the suffering. Contemplate the passing away, the letting go, and the impermanence of all experience. Another big instruction, not just this moment, not just this sound, but the reality that all existence, all conditioned things, that this is an essential truth. Everything will be, pass, and go. So these are the three instructions for how we're going to practice today. And then the Buddha goes on to say, contemplating thus, we do not cling to anything in this world because now you see clearly its consequence, only suffering. When we don't cling, there is no agitation. When no agitation arises, we personally attain nibbana, complete, unconditioned freedom. Okay? Whatever feelings arise, whether pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral, abide, contemplating impermanence in those feelings. Contemplate the passing away, the letting go, and the impermanence of all experience. Contemplating thus, we do not cling to anything in this world. When we don't cling, there is no agitation. When no agitation arises, we personally attain nibbana. Okay, that's going to be a part of the instructions we're going to be following today. Let's go back up here then. I think I might have to refresh this for us. I'm not sure. Here is some by Jeff Foster, who we have often. I have somebody off of mute, not sure who that is, but we're getting a little bit of feedback. If we could just watch that. I am going to ask you to come off of mute, however, as we begin to read this. Is there anybody who'd like to come on? You can either raise your hand or just come on. We're going to read these little paragraphs. There's about 4. Would somebody like to come on and read this paragraph?
Sure, I'll do it. It's Lisa.
Lisa, thank you.
Sometimes, despite our best efforts to pray, align, dream, meditate, and attempt to manifest something different, life does not go according to plan. The dream is crushed. The fantasy is ruined. A diagnosis comes out of the blue. A promise made is unkempt. A plan falls through. Words are spoken or unspoken. Something you believed was true was never true. Something is lost or found or never existed at all. And the ego is humiliated, the seeker threatened, the self ridiculed. The path is suddenly unclear. Certainty crumbles. And the tendency then is to run away from the sorrow, avoid it, pretend it's not there, make out like everything's okay. But the pain of disappointment is not a mistake and not a block, and it will open you up if you let it. It will keep you soft, flexible, and most of all, humble.
There's a lot written, isn't there, really, just right there? This tendency then to cling or avoid. The other side of the clinging is the not clinging or the avoidance strategies, or the flyovers that I noticed, the spiritual bypass. If only I could just stay in this still, silent space, by the way, which is always available, always available. If I could, but we use it, don't we, as a screen from the things we don't want. And then we look and go, there's loss. Nope, climb back in. And so that's the beginning. This is the other side of what the Buddha was talking about as he was talking about this idea of clinging. This is the other side. It's just the same, actually, this side of not clinging or repressing, pushing away, or avoiding. Can somebody read the next paragraph? It starts with the truth is.
I can do that. I can do that.
You.
Dennis. The truth is, you don't know. You never knew. And you were never really in control. And sinking into that not knowing, rather than fighting it, can be the greatest liberation. Humiliation is only a breath away from humility. You see? And endings are nothing less than disguised beginnings.
Isn't that a lovely line? Endings are nothing less than the space made available for the next moment. And can we risk not clinging? Can we risk it then to be truly available to the beauty, to the wonder, to the awe, to the connection, the belonging, the love, right? That is only available, only right here, right? Can we risk the humility of release and of the pain, by the way, as we talked about last week, the grief, the sorrow that comes in the letting go? This is just our humanness. We don't have to deny it. We don't have to pretend like it's not there, so that we can fully open to the lotus bloom of the present moment. The answer is yes, we can, but not without mindfulness, and not without the training in abiding in what? The still and silent moment and space of the present moment. Because what? We look for distraction. We look for connection, like it's over there or back there. No, it isn't. Only, wow, really? Only nibbana. What did the Buddha say? Only right here. Free, liberated, completely available and happy. Thank you so much, Dennis. Can we go on to assume and somebody else read that?
I can do that.
Annika.
Annika, and who else?
Oh, I was going to do it, but yeah, go for it.
Okay, then, Tanya, you can read the next one.
I feel disappointed. I want to start by saying I do feel disappointment, so I love this. Thank you for letting me read it.
You're welcome.
Assume there's some intense in your disappointment, that it's an invitation to connect more deeply with yourself, with others, with life. You had a dream that didn't come true, and you need to grieve for that lost future. Yes, of course. But in the middle of grief, turn towards the present. Acknowledge the pain, yes, but do not think of it or give it any more than it needs. Let the disappointment take you out of your head and into your heart, into your living body. Breathe, be present, stay very close to yourself in this time of change. Feel everything, everything.
We'll just breathe that in. Yes, can we risk that exquisite risk of being fully human, to feel everything, not clinging and not rejecting, because in those we cannot follow the Buddha's instructions and abide, contemplating the truth of the experience, knowing it, says the Buddha, completely, knowing disappointment completely, knowing the pain completely. This is not the cause of suffering. This is the truth of our human life. Can we open completely right into the heart, not into the thinking about, not into the if onlys, not into the condition surfing. If only I get that, and then I arrange it like this, and then not any of that. Can I actually just completely open, breathe, wake down into the body and let it sink in? Awareness is present there, and we will be liberated right from the thing you had spent so long running from. Thank you so much, Annika. And then Tanya, I think you were going to read the next.
Yes, I can do that. Here we go. Good morning. Don't skip to the next step. There may be gifts in the present steps. Know that this crisis is only the death of dreams and nothing more. And life has surprises in store. Stay curious, cry, shout, weep, but stay curious. If you are willing to meet disappointment head on, there may be no disappointment at all.
Isn't it true? Isn't it? If you can be present for the moment of grief, the next moment will be free of it. This is the promise. And the Buddha said, I can offer you this nibbana, complete freedom in the present moment, no matter what conditions, no matter what losses, no matter what grief, no matter what fears are present here. I offer you nibbana by staying in this present moment. It is not life itself that causes suffering, though there will be pain. The nature of our human life, there will be loss, there will be grief, there will be sorrow, there will be endings. And in the space of abiding, there will be the end of those things because they do not continue. They are not permanent and they are not you. They are experience to be known, right? And so in many Advaita teachings, what do they say? Rest in the knowing, not in the thing to be known. Rest in the knowing. Oh, disappointment like this, grief like this, fear like this. And in this teaching, it says, and watch it, and the truth that it is changing you, changing the knowing, changing the wisdom, changing the love, moment, growing it moment by moment by moment. Okay, let's see if we can practice together. I'm going to end this for now. Let's see how it goes for us. The truth is this. These are the teaching. The source for the thing we just read was Jeff Foster, and yes, I can send it to you. Yes, I do see that. Thank you. I might put it in Sunday's newsletter because I think these teachings are so important that it would be unfortunate, wouldn't it, for us to deprive others of what we're learning here today. So yes, I will include it. I'm checking just to make sure we're recording. So let's get prepared to sit. I wanted to do the teaching today first, because without the teaching, we cannot then practice skillfully. If we don't know what the practice is, then the practice itself becomes complicated, or we're residing in the breath without any understanding of why we're there. Like, what the hell? The breath? Why bother? This is boring. Not actually, because with the breath moment, right, what do I call it? The metronome of the present moment. We can stabilize, concentrate the mind, open and soften the body, Completely open the boundless heart and see the nature of all things. So here we are. I'm going to take off my Crocs here so I can truly ground. You're going to do the same, finding a comfortable, supported posture, one that invites a certain level of stillness. Because as we are restless, as the mind is moving, the body will move. And as the body moves, the mind will move. And as they move, we will not be able to see, as we're caught in the torrent of impermanence. We actually have to abide in stillness so that we are not being thrown around. We're not in the hurricane. We're not in the froth. We are stable and now able to watch the truth. Oh, pain arising and passing, clinging, even coming and going. And we, the true nature of our own being, abiding, contemplating, knowing, and free. So here we are. I'm going to be using the bell, as I said, in parts of this practice. So don't be distressed when you hear it ring again. I'll try to inform you a moment before I do it. Just sitting, allowing the body, taking some nice, deep cleansing breaths. Do that in your own time, in your own body, in your own way. You have the wisdom, you know. And see the way the body in its own wisdom invites the release. Let's do it again. Maybe one more. Completely present to the breath experience here, this present moment in this body, while sitting. Feeling the feet, the legs, and the hips, knowing, sensing their stable base. Feeling the uprightness, the aliveness of the spine, moving it up the body, out the top of the head, gathering some in-breaths here, energizing that area of the body. It's already alive. We're just checking into it. It's holding you up, rising you up, greeting the present moment. And then coming back into the body through the front of the body, softening, releasing, opening, preparing to receive the forehead, the cheeks, the chin, the eyes, and the mouth. With each out-breath, softening. Dropping down into the throat, letting go of the face completely, not hanging out. Remember, impermanence, letting it be known and releasing it. Now for the throat, just feeling the sense of the breath at the back of the throat. Letting the throat stay open rather than gripping around that breath. This is how we start to feel choky. The grip, not the breath. Breathing down beyond the throat and neck into the shoulders, the arms, letting the hands be warm, soft, and heavy, providing an anchor. Feeling the aliveness in the hands. The tingle, the vibration, the contact, the warmth. However it is, See if you can abide for just a moment, contemplating impermanence, ever-present change, the arising and passing, letting the hands be fresh and new every in-breath, and abide for the whole of the breath, tingling like this, pulsing like this. With each out-breath, we invite a complete release. We are not holding the pulse from the last moment, the vibration that we knew. There is no past tense in Nibbana. There is only this contact and this arriving. These hands, this moment, like this. And then moving back up the arms, back to the shoulders, and then down into the chest, the diaphragm, the abdomen. Seeing if we can begin to form this reflecting, contemplating, knowing relationship right here. We're not gluing the mind to the breath. We're simply knowing this breath and its sensations. Noticing them however you do. Maybe one moment the lungs expanding off to the sides, maybe the next, the inflate around the solar plexus. You're not gluing the mind here either. You're just knowing the breath in its infinite manifestations. Can we not attach or cling to any? Can we begin at the beginning of the breath, move into the sensations by these micro moments, into the middle of the breath, feel the end of the in-breath, the beginning of the out-breath, the wave of the out-breath, and its end? We notice the ever-changing reality of all things by knowing completely this breath. Can we stay in the in-breath during the in-breath and let it go so that we can completely know and experience the immediacy of the out-breath as the out-breath? And if we are completely in the present moment, in the in-breath during the in-breath and the out-breath during the out-breath, contemplating thus, we will be on the path to the end of suffering. We will see clearly that it is not in the coming and the going that the suffering is. It is in the clinging the resisting, the rejecting, the denying. And we're just going to practice here for a time, right here in this one breath. And then we notice that there not only is a clinging with the attention, there's also the add-on storyline. I can't do it. It's too hard. I don't get it. I'm not sure what's supposed to be happening. Well, actually, nothing. You're just knowing the in-breath, residing in the in-breath. And then knowing the out-breath, direct sensations of release, of deflating, of emptying and softening. We're training thus with this neutral object called the breath. And even here with this neutral object, we begin to cling or what? Resist. Boredom is the not attending, the not arriving, the not paying attention, the disconnect, the separation. Get in here, be with the breath, and stay. Constant, ever-changing flow, abiding the breath moment by moment. And here is the training to know the breath completely, knowing the in-breath as the in-breath and its ever-changing qualities, knowing the out-breath as the out-breath, and being able to abide both with the understanding of impermanence, with the contemplation of the arriving and passing, and then the knowing that this is the nature of all things. There'll be pleasant sensations, unpleasant sensations, and neutral sensations as related to the breath and as related to the body. Can we abide them without clinging or rejecting? And then I'd like you to notice the instruction, which is to notice what happens when the clinging or not clinging comes. This is the beginning of the rug burn. This is the beginning of the cause of suffering. And I'm going to use the bell now as a little bit larger example of that. The breath can be pretty subtle. I'm going to be ringing the bell. I'd like you to stay in contact with hearing, with sound as best you can. And when you don't hear sound, once again, you can rest in the vast open space. You can come back to the breath if you need the support of that. It's all fine. But I'd like you to see what happens as you let go of the sound, arriving back into the stillness. And then we'll try a little experiment, see what happens when we do it a different way. So just residing in the breath, and then opening the ears to hearing. Noticing that sounds, just like the breath, arise and change and pass and fade. Now I'd like you to push the sound away. See if you can distract yourself. Put the mind somewhere else. See if you can hold it there when I hit the bell. See what the agitation, the restlessness, the distress is as you're trying not to hear. Placing the attention in the breath, in the body, in some other object. See if we can replicate this sense of not wanting, not hearing. You can feel its sense of disruption, a problem, an interference, an involuntary experience, not this, the knowing, not the K-N-O-W, but the N-O, no to this. You can feel the growing distress. Let's settle back for a moment. Coming back into stillness and silence. And then once again, I'd like you to open to hearing, to the sound of the bell. And this time I'd like you to find what's pleasant in it and see if you can't hang on to it. Find some pleasant sense, a pleasant pitch. And we're going to try the opposite. See if we can sense what comes with the clinging and how it feels at its end. Just resting in the silence. Seeing what feelings come as you try to wish, hope for, cling to, want one of those sounds. a sound you like, a sound that was pleasant. See if you can sense that wanting, that craving that is the cause of suffering, and see how it takes us out of the present moment. No longer here, lost in a past moment, seeking something that was and changed and faded. And see if you can sense the difficulty then of just being present and abiding right here. Can you see how the longing, the desire, the craving, and the clinging begins to cause our disruption? I want that, not this. And what if you thought you would never hear that sound again? Can you feel the craving, the attachment, the hunger, and its present moment distress? We can do this then also with our own falsely believed thoughts. Can you imagine then as a thought a moment that has passed, a moment that you believe is gone? It cannot be recreated, of course. And let's see if we can abide for a few moments in the breath experience and the feelings that come up as you imagine. So I'm just going to imagine, because it's a very easy one for me, a beautiful conversation with my father while he was living, and that sense of joy and connection. And I'm bringing the thought on purpose to that. This will be no longer. I will never have this moment like that again. I'm not trying to get you to feel a certain way at all. I just want you to see how a felt sense of sorrow, of grief, and the clinging to it is created. It's conditioned just like this. And you may add some other thoughts on, like, I'll never have that experience. It'll never be like this again. I'll never hear his laugh again. And you can feel that growing distress. Clinging to a past moment, to a future hope, the cause of all suffering. And now I'd like you to do something different. See if you can actually just have thought, recognizing a thought just like the breath, arising, appearing, fading, and disappearing, without the add-on, without the storyline. And to do this, it will be best to both hold the thought and then drop into the direct experience in the body. Also recognizing body sensations, appearing, presenting, changing, and then the next moment. See if we can practice that. No add-ons, no storyline, just a thought. Making contact with the thought, letting a thought be a thought. Seeing if you can see it too has a beginning, a middle, and an end. We're going to drop down into the body, waking down, seeing if we can let that mirror of the body have its experience, a tightness, a quickening, a grip, a release, whatever's here. Staying in the direct experience of the breath so that we don't get carried off. Or then staying, if you feel enough concentration, you might try just abiding then in the open, empty space. Letting the thought be a thought. Beginning, middle, and end. No clinging, no resistance, no wanting or not wanting. Just like the breath and its coming and going. And then wake down, drop into the body. Feel whatever truth of experience, of physical sensation is there, letting it be also a tightness, a grip, a release. Contemplating thus all objects in their arising, all objects in their passing. Nothing to cling to or resist. And then we abide this present moment, this open space, this in or out breath, and we see that this is the path to the end of suffering. Fully arriving. I am not this body alone. I am not these sensations. I am not this thought, this memory, this fear, or this worry. I am that which can abide the coming and the going, clinging to nothing, open, inclusive, and allowing everything. And then whatever comes, we can simply open, receive, allow, abide, and release. This is the path to all wisdom. And as we know the cause of suffering, and as we know the way to its end, this is the cultivation of compassion. We can feel both for ourselves and for all those others just like me who grip or want or crave or cling. And we know the truth of that suffering. And we can feel both for ourselves and others right there in that truth. You can't make somebody release. You can't make yourself. This is just another form of bypassing. But you can see and know the true cause of suffering. And we can wish for our and others' freedom by first freeing ourselves. Arriving once again, fully present. No add-ons, no narratives. But whatever else is arising, let it be fully known. Let it migrate and be translated into the direct experience of the body, this beautiful body. But let it come and let it be. Breathe it in. Let it be known. And let it go. It will go on its own unless you are clinging to it. We can abide all fear, this fear with the fearlessness of awareness. And then with each breath in which we are untethered, unbound, in non-clinging and non-reactivity, we are free, having reached Nibbana, the present moment. Nothing about me, nothing that is mine, nothing that is permanent. Just the ever-flowing, ever-changing confluence of arising and passing objects and our experience. Or we might say experience itself, this human experience. And so then all is well, and all will be well. Let's take a moment and just offer yourself some gentle movement. Inviting that awakening. So I'm going to go back for just a moment to the instructions, and then we'll talk about them. Whatever feelings arise, whatever thoughts arise, whatever sounds arise, whatever breath arises, whether pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral, abide, contemplating impermanence in all experience. Contemplate the passing away, the letting go, and the impermanence of all experience. Contemplating thus, we do not cling to anything in this world, not a sensation, not a thought, not a feeling, not a self. When we don't cling, there is no distress. And when no distress arises, we have attained nibbana, freedom, ease, contentedness in this world. So I want to check in, just see if there are particular experiences with this. We have a tendency, let's remember our habits. We have a tendency then, don't we, to say it is not, in fact, the mind itself that is the cause of suffering. It is my circumstance. It is my stupid partner. It is the job change. It is the uncertainty of my current condition. It is, we could name everything out there, couldn't we? And it's instability, it's unreliability, it's dissatisfaction. These are all words associated with the conditioned world. Why? All conditioned experience. What is the problem? How pleasant, the most fabulous vacation, the most delicious cake or meal, or the most amazing sex, the most fabulous glass of champagne, whatever you got there. What's the problem? Because it's all pretty amazing. the most wonderful conversations with my father, the most loving experiences. What's the problem? Nothing. Right? Nothing. Not yet. But then, what do? Right? The beautiful cake, the delicious conversation, the most fabulous sex, the most loving moments. No problem until something has to happen. Yes, yeah, I see. Don't I see the laughing or the crying? It goes both ways. Yeah. Nothing. It's amazing. It doesn't have to be less amazing. It doesn't have to be less fabulous. It doesn't have to be any less unbelievable than it actually is. No problem so far, but we, in fact, are the problem. What are we doing? The clinging, the not wanting it to end, the having to keep it. How do I keep this going? This amazing love, this fabulous meal, this most glorious sunset, the most amazing moments. And boy, haven't we had them? Haven't they been truly breathtaking? Yes. In fact, they've taken our breath away, haven't they, in this human life, these moments? No problem. And not wanting them to end. The cosmic joke, says Ryan, right? Can I fully participate, fully be present, fully be there, and fully release? So that what? I can wake up to the next amazing, unbelievable, never before as fabulous as this moment. This one to which we can completely arrive, completely be present to this moment. No other. There's no way to hold it or keep it. But I can be here in this one. Are we willing to risk it? The exquisite risk, we said, of what? Letting go. The exquisite risk of showing up completely. And then the exquisite risk of being fully human, knowing no way to hold that and be here. No way to hold, want, it's where a lot of our fears go. And to be here. And so what? We deprive, we deny, we get in our own way over and over and over because of this believed thought, if only I could keep it. And remember, we're not just talking in any way about external objects. We're not just talking about the cake. Remember, the cake's not the problem. The cake's not the problem. The cake's the beautiful cake. The wedding's the beautiful wedding. The love's the beautiful love. No problem. It is not in the object. It is in the denial, the resistance. Right? Yes, I have somebody say, if only my wife would stop vacuuming. Yes, Leanne, isn't it? If only my husband would blip and fucking stop walking around upstairs so that I could think. Right. That's right. If only my partner were more ambitious. If only my partner could show up more consistently. If only they could be more reliable. If only, right? This is what we do to all of life, right? I want it like this. This is the way it's supposed, and then we draw storylines that are unbelievable. It's supposed to be that way. It's supposed to go like this. I'm supposed to have a partner who knows magically that I'm teaching and doesn't walk around upstairs. If he really loved me, goes the storyline, don't we? Insane, right? If he really loved me, he'd know. And then he just wouldn't do it, right? That's crazy. In fact, what he's doing is very likely, by the way, something for me. That's, want to make a bigger cosmic joke out of this? The truth is, he's up walking around, probably trying to make me breakfast. Yeah. But what am I doing down here? What? What are you doing? Stop. What? Knock it off. You're so, right? Unconscious. You're so unconscious. as I sit here in complete what? Reactivity, as I sit here in complete distraction by what? A past moment. By the way, there are no sounds right now. Where's my head? Lost in the last step, as if it were still happening. It's not happening. It's not even here now. What's actually here now is only my storyline, only my add-on about it. The object, the noise, the sound has come and gone. And so we have to be watchful, don't we, of how we continue to implicate life as our basic problem. Don't we? Don't we keep doing it? We implicate life as our essential problem. If only life then would cooperate with my preference. If only life would cooperate with my plan, with my bright idea about how life should be, unfold, stay, whatever is going on. So I'm going to just ask for a few comments. If anyone has any, you can write it or come on. And then we're going to talk for a few minutes about the healthy project, because I want everybody to be able to rest in complete gratification and joy at all the beautiful things that we were done. And I'll ask some of those people to come on. But let's look and see what we know about this so far. It's so mysterious how we cling endlessly to suffering, yes, and not even know we're doing it. Yes, but now that you know, because the practice is providing the wisdom to you, you can train, says the Buddha. You can abide and contemplate the true nature of all things in their ever-changing reality, and now be free, resting in nirvana, watching the beautiful play of all of life, the waves coming and going. Aren't they amazing? Every one. And it says, yes, awareness itself, consciousness itself is capable. It's capable. It is the egoic, fear-based, grippy, identifying self. Oh no, what about if I don't have? What about if I lose? What about if I don't, right? And that's all storyline, because we can't keep anything. We already know we can't. And that's where the insanity is. It's when we remember, isn't it? It's right. We go, what? What was I doing? Wrapped up in the story about them and if and why not and if only, and right? What if mind, we call that. It's the dangerous one. What if it could be different? What if I didn't have to be here in this? Well, except even with mind states, we have a tendency, and then I want to let go of this for time. Even in mind states, we have a tendency to get clingy. We like rapture. We like ease. We like, right? Yeah. And then we get caught in that. Like, if I really get this right, this practice, I can just rest in constant ease. Well, yes, you can. You can be at ease with pain. Yeah, but it's still painful. Here's the trick. You can't get out of it. You can be in grief with ease. There is a kind of opening into it. You let it run through you. You let it shake you to the bone, don't you? Because there's no way out of it. It's that wave, right? And sometimes the waves are little and they just ripple up against the shin, right? We go, that's all right. I can navigate that. And then the big one, life partner, gone, dead, ill, right? Knocks us literally to our knees, or what? Our own bodies and selves. That tsunami wave, wow, whoosh, takes us right out. Because what? Well, we thought, if I could only get this right, I won't get that. I won't have to confront that. I won't have to be up against the truth of impermanence. I can stabilize the self enough. This is a part of the myth of the practice. I lived in it for 10 years, so I know I can stabilize something there so that when that big wave comes, it misses me. Like, no, not me. I don't have, I'll keep exercising. I'll keep stretching. all that stretching. I'll eat healthy. That'll be good too. Doesn't mean they're not good, by the way, but what you have to be careful about what you believe you'll get. Possibly health, right? There's some evidence, possible. Are we guaranteed that? No, you're not. And then what do? Something's wrong. It's wrong with life. It's not right? Because I wanted to secure. I wanted certainty. I wanted absolute. I wanted permanence. And I don't like that that's not here now, except that was never going to be the result. It's not the truth. Let me read these and then we're going to bring on Renee and talk about the healthy meals. It's so mysterious how we cling. Yes, the experiments with sound reminded me of the dogs barking. Isn't it true in neighbors' yards? And how we go, if they wouldn't only stop barking. It doesn't mean they're pleasant for you. Remember? Now, what's interesting is for the owners, they're very possibly neutral or pleasant even. That's really amazing, right? And we let that happen. The big waves still come. Yeah, we can't avoid them. That's the nature of the ocean. Jen just shared that vacuuming does lead to happiness. Exactly our point. There it is. Just as you're going, the blip and vacuum, the other person's going, right? How amazing life is. We can actually suck this crap up in 4 minutes right there with this amazing machine. That's right. Anthony, I saw you. I want to make sure I let you say something before we transition.
Yeah, I just had a question regarding neutral thoughts, like both positive and negative, both grasping and aversion make perfect sense to me because there's juice in there. There's attraction. There's a polarity there. Like they're both, they're attraction, they're aversion, they're magnetic in that way. But with neutral thoughts, to me, that seems a lot closer to. It seems a lot closer to no thought, but I know that there's a subtle distinction there. And I was listening to this amazing podcast last night in which the podcaster Duncan Trussell was talking about this. And he's like, yeah, you don't really get like caught up on the thought of like, I wonder what Mickey Mouse's feet look like underneath those shoes. But you do get caught up on the thought, like the one mistake that you've made all day, despite your hundreds of, other successes, or whatever. And you can get caught up on the successes too, but because of our negativity bias, we really get stuck on those negative thoughts. So I guess I don't know if there's a question in here, but I guess I was just wondering about the identification with neutral thought. Yeah, and how that can be damaging.
I love the question, by the way. It's actually quite useful. Really neutral, the old definitions, when I think we had less understanding in the neuroscience, was that they were random, non-charged thoughts. No, the neuroscience says, no, every thought has a charge. Isn't that interesting? They're not neutral, actually. Every thought. The truth then is you missed it. It was so subtle. It was so random. It was so not seen, heard, felt, and known that you actually experienced it, by the way, here's the new understanding, with ignorance. So neutral's not even right anymore. It's I missed it is true. One that came and went, like the fish you couldn't reel in, you just never got it in the boat. It's not that it's not a fish. It's not that it didn't have a size, a weight, a color, right? It's that you couldn't make contact with it enough. And that's what we now understand because of the fMRIs that said that wasn't neutral. That had a, and then you went, yeah, no, I didn't get anything there. Well, you did, you missed it. Your mindfulness was not sufficiently established to actually see what it was and that it was there. And often it's those little low levels, right? That one, right? And so I'll give you an example and then we've got to move on. My grandmother eating onions right? Not particularly pleasant or unpleasant. I don't have a, not until I stay with it a little. And then I can pick up 10,000 contacts. I can pick up the smell of the onion, which I thought as a kid was disgusting. Oh, not so neutral. I can pick up watching my grandmother take a big bite right out of that. You can see my face now. Still, is this neutral? You're not going neutral, right? Like, how did she do it? It could shake. But the thought itself, it came and went so quickly. I missed that. I missed the subtleties. I miss now I'm not missing the reality that I would pay anything to see my grandmother bite that onion today. That wanting, that craving, that longing, right? As much negative over here, positive over here, clinging over here. Can I see them and know them all? Well, often everything remains rather neutral at the beginning of a practice until we stay and then go, ooh. That one mosaic moment where you go, whew, gosh, onions. And you go, that's funny, because the first time that one floated by, no big deal, right? So it isn't true. If you have a recollected thought, there is a neuroreceptor hit. Stay tuned, stick around, see what's there, see what's under it, because there's many, many layers, isn't there, to experience. And often we get them first just here. Thought is thought, unless we're already deeply cathected to it, just so you know. Yeah, it was a great question also. Actually,
Thank you.
Something we know more about. Once upon a time, we might have actually called the thought neutral. It's ignorance at work. It's lack of seeing at work. That's actually what's more true. All right, so we've got to transition. We only have a few minutes. Renee here. I want to call Renee, and I think Lisa might be here, and Carrie, and maybe Dr. Jim still. I'm not sure. Could you guys come on? We just want to hear how the Healthy Meals Project went.
Yeah, I want to go first because I'm going to need to go. But it was really a wonderful experience. The employees were all anticipating the healthy food. They especially liked it that it was going to be very healthy. And as soon as I was unloading the bags, people were gathered around already picking out food. And we're so thankful. We wanted to know how to thank everybody who had contributed. And they were also really surprised that there were a bunch of people out there in a community that wanted to do good things. And that was just a really heartwarming experience for me to be a part of. I really enjoyed that and thought that was a feel the good experience for me. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Wonderful, Renee. That just warms me through and through, by the way, to hear that. It's so important that we know that these little things we do, right? It's so easy to forget because we don't always get the result of that. We don't always get to hear the joy, the surprise, right? Isn't it lovely that you could hear that these people couldn't imagine that somebody who doesn't know them actually cared about their health and about their well-being? That's going to fill me up for a couple days. Just that alone, right? How wonderful. How wonderful. Thank you so much, Renee. The thank you is in the sharing of it, actually.
Yeah. Oh, great.
Really, by the way. Yes, you will get that. Those who have a receipt, there's a way to get that. We'll let you know. It's right on the website, by the way. But I'm going to have Lisa or Carrie speak to that. It is available to you. Thank you. Carrie, are you there? Did you want to share?
Yeah, I'm here and I can send you a receipt. Just let me know. I sent one to Dennis yesterday or 2 days ago via email. So
okay. Dennis, keep looking for that. Anybody else who needs a receipt, just let Carrie know. Jan. Okay, let Carrie know. I think there are a couple other people. Thank you. Let us know so that we can make sure to make that exchange. Yes, there's always opportunities for giving for Donna. They're infinite. And yes, we will be doing something else. Is Carrie, can you say anything about your group? And they got, Scripps was able to get meals for several
Yeah.
Fridays.
Same sentiments, like, wow, there's somebody out there that really cares about what we do. And, there were several people who knew Good Anya's, the restaurant, but there were many people who never have been there. And we live and work in Encinitas. So I think it's a really good thing to be connecting to the community, us as a Sangha, and also the restaurants, because I think we need to support that way as well. So many, many kudos to all of you who donated, and they're very sad that we're done.
Lisa, how about you? Hello.
That's funny you say that, Carrie. I was having to talk about clinging. Yesterday, I had this little sad thought, like, this is the end of this. Because honestly, every one of those days for me, because I got to have the great joy to confirm the order, one small act. But every one of those days between 11 and 12, my heart just kind of sang. I thought, right now, people are getting fed because of the Sangha. People are getting a little nutrition. And that was just a lovely thought. That was nourishing. It was mutually nourishing. Let me put it that way. The other thing is that, Good Anya has also said the same thing. Every time we confirmed, and every time after the meal, we, shot out a little thank you again, and they came back with thank you back, beyond the fact that supporting them financially, the idea that they too were able to be part of that and help nurture with the Sangha. So there is just a lot of, like you were saying, opportunities soak in for a lot of people. It's like there's, if I added it up, I think it was 215 people who actually got meals, but a lot more people besides that, between all of us getting that opportunity to have, those wonderful feelings and thoughts and intentions all at the same time.
Yeah, beautiful. I'm so grateful to the whole community and to all those who have benefited. And just in 3 minutes, look what you heard, the ever expanding reality of that goodness. Like, it wasn't just the workers who got the food, it was the workers who delivered the food. It was the people who made the food. It was us who provided the food. Look at the good and all of its infinite expansion. And this is the truth of Dana Paramita, always. Always. We don't always get to see the bloom, but I want you to know its truth. And here it is, a beautiful example of this, and how it's warming me and others right now. So thank you so much. I want to just take a moment together. We're just going to gather the beauty of those intentions, the beauty of that realization. We set a possible aspiration, and not only did we realize it, we more than. And the benefits will continue. This is something else I want you to know. Will continue to expand and grow and offer goodness. May we all be happy, resting in that happiness and that joy. May we all be free from distress, from distraction, from reactivity. And when we cannot be free of it, may we see it clearly and so be liberated. May we be free from clinging, from grasping, from holding on too tight to the reality of continual change and impermanence. May we open completely to the present moment, feeling exactly how we feel, no need to change a thing. Fear is fear, worry is worry. Can we allow it? Let it in, let it be, breathe it in, and also watch it go. And may we so then live into the reality of Nibbana, the reality of freedom, of true happiness, breath by breath. May you know how grateful I am and that we each are for the truth and the beauty of the Sangha and for its good, compassionate work. For all the board members, for all those donators, for all those who contributed to its realization and will continue. And will continue. May we all be well. I look forward to seeing you next week. Let's stay tuned for the bell. May this be a beautiful day. So beautiful. Thank you all so much. Next week, I thought this might be my last week for the exquisite risk. And then I thought, oh no, there's another one. I'd like us to investigate the exquisite risk of awakening. The exquisite risk of awakening. What does it mean when we really show up? We've talked about what's gotten in the way, the hindrances, and the work, the practice. And now let's talk next week about the exquisite risk of awakening and what that actually means for us. We'll do that next week. We will get a newsletter this week, so stay tuned for that. Please let Carrie know if you need a receipt. I want to make sure those who want those and can benefit will get those. Yes, actually, Dennis, I had an email to you. I didn't get a response. So let's set a time for Monday. I look forward to that. I'm saying it out loud. I'll send you an email so that we can do that. Thank you all so much. Without you, there is no Sangha, there is no practice, and there can be no awakening. Thank you all. Be well, everyone. Enjoy this gorgeous, gorgeous day.